In this podcast, we're going to talk about money and emotions, because I discovered something really important, how important it is to work through the emotions that you experience when you're investing or purchasing something. Let's go. Welcome to Money and Freedom, the podcast where you learn to become financially free using value investing. Do we really know the difference between investing and buying something? I think that rationally we do, but on an emotional level, I don't think the body really knows what the difference is. And that can be one of the explanations that it's so difficult for people to invest in stocks sometimes. So we're going to talk about what happens when you buy something, because it's related to investing, because the body doesn't really know. So let's think about, first of all, when you want to purchase something, you can feel a lot of things. One of the things you can feel is kind of fear, or you can feel everything. You can feel happiness, you can feel anger. There are a lot of emotions connected to spending money. And one thing that I've realized with the help of a coach that I have, she's called Jody Shields, if you're curious about that, is that it's so important to be aware of these feelings and give them space. So whatever you're experiencing when you're about to buy something, you have to notice it and work through it and figure out, where does it actually come from? One of the reasons that we're so afraid of spending money is the idea that money is limited, that it's going to run out. This is something so many people struggle with. But if you think about what money really is, money is not a thing that's going to run out. Once upon a time, we didn't have money. We were exchanging things. You know, you gave me 2 goats, I would give you a cow, or maybe it was more goats, 4 goats, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You would harvest my field, I would build you a roof. If you think really narrowly about that, you might say, well, there's only so many roofs that I have time to build, so time would be a factor here. But today, it doesn't work that way. For example, in my business, I sell online courses. And it's not like I have to build the online course every time. I can sell as many online courses. I mean, there's no cap on that. It's already built. So it doesn't work that way. So it's service for service and thing for thing. I mean, that's really, and then we invented money to make that flow easier. And if you think about how money works today, it's really, you pay for something. Let's say you go down to a local shop, you buy some flowers, let's say it's 10 euros or dollars or whatever. Well, that person who receives the money can spend it on something else. I know, obviously, a bit of it will go to taxes and whatnot, but let's just say that that's not the case. So that person could take those $10 euros and spend it on, something else, cheese or movie theater. And then who receives that can spend it on something else again. So the money itself keeps flowing. It doesn't run out. Isn't that amazing if you think about it? One thing that I realized lately is, I've talked a lot about my father, who was an economist, and I learned a lot from him. I learned about structure, being rational, and he was also very systematic with his approach to money. He taught me that, he would give me quite a lot of pocket money, actually, but then I would be responsible for buying clothes myself and buying, the big items that kids sometimes want, that like roller skaters, And he would teach me to control the money by writing down everything I spent money on. And, he was showing me, if you just use it on snacks here and there, then you won't get the roller skaters at the end of the month. So that gave me a very rational and a logical feeling of money. But it also gave me that feeling of it's going to run out, because he was basically teaching me. So later in life, I talked with my mom about that. And my dad and my mom, they were so different. My mom was a very emotional person, and she also had a lot of troubles. And to be quite honest, she was also drinking too much. My dad very disciplined, very structured. You could really trust him. And I leaned heavily towards my dad. I really, really liked my dad. Anyway, I realized that my mom actually gave me a gift. And the gift is, first of all, being more connected to the emotions of things, but also not being so afraid of the consequences of spending money. I remember a conversation with her, a conversation I had with my mom. My dad, he died when I was 15, so I couldn't have these kind of conversations with him any longer, so I would use my mom. And there was something I really wanted to do. I really wanted to go on a study trip to South Africa. And I remember, and I had a pot of money from my dad. I had inherited some money. It was like, it would take me through my studies, and that was basically it. I mean, it was very, very nice, but it wasn't forever, and I knew that. And this trip wasn't super cheap, but I really, really wanted to go. It was about, the topic of the trip was the environment. We had to make some studies in South Africa. I really wanted to go. So I talked to my mom, and I remember asking her, but first of all, her attitude was go, go. She was really an adventurous. She had, when she was a young girl, she had hitchhiked through Europe, and she was born in 1929, had a rather old mom. So at the time she did this, it was post-war Europe. And so she saw everything. She just hitchhiked down through Europe, young girl. I mean, can you imagine all the dangers and, things were chaos down there. But she did it, and it went fine. She fell in love with an Italian, had my much older brother, and that marriage didn't last, but, whatever. She had my brother, and that was, what an adventure. So this was the spirit of my mom, and later she would live in so many different places and do crazy things. So when I came to her and I said, I really want to go to South Africa, but I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money. The hitchhiker that went down through war-torn Europe, could you be any more different than that? Well, her response was, don't worry about it. You can always get up and make more money. Get up and make more money. I think that's a really great advice, actually. And the thing about my mom was she was an entrepreneur at spirit. She wasn't much of a planner, she wasn't as structured as my dad, but she really knew how to make money in such a low-key way. So for example, the thing she did, she wanted to go to Italy. So she went to Italy. I don't know if she borrowed the money for the trip to Italy, but somehow she got there. Then she filled up the luggage with garlic and brought it back to Denmark and sold it to the local shops, the vegetable shops. And that, my friend, there's another thing in that little story, because I just told you about arbitrage. That's arbitrage. Garlic was really, really cheap in Italy and really expensive because it was hard to get in Denmark at that time. So that's arbitrage, actually. That's something that people on the stock market sometimes do. They buy something that is considered cheaper in one market and sell it more expensive in another. It's called arbitrage. She would do things like that. I don't remember. I was not there when she did the garlic thing, but I heard about it from my older sisters and brothers. One thing she did with me, we went to Portugal, and I today live in Portugal. And she was really interested in everything antique, and she would find things like antique doorknobs on markets. So we were hunting around on these markets, antique doorknobs, and these things that you knock with. It might be a line, might be a little hand. So we were walking around these markets looking for things that she knew would be really valuable back home. And that, my friend, is also arbitrage. And somehow she would, we would go somewhere and she would be like, and she would make the money for the trip. She would always get up and make the money. And there are several ways that you can we can all make more money whenever we want to, but there's certain rules to that. So if you find something that is very rare, that's one way to increase the value. So it could be that what you can offer is really rare, or it could be that you're really good at it and much better than other people. then money will flow your way. It could also be that you invent something that didn't exist before that's really, really valuable. And that doesn't have to be a physical thing, even though it could be. Like, I remember reading this story about a guy who invented some kind of a cap for wine bottles, so when you pour it doesn't spill, and he made a lot of money off that little invention. It could also be inventing a way to do things. I am inventing a way to be a stock market investor. It's built on value investing, but I'm changing it along the way. For example, one thing that I'm building is how to build your portfolio. You have to build it like a pyramid, but what do you put in that pyramid? So I found a way to categorize companies in different ways, because a company is not just a company. The companies are so different. They're like people. So how do you figure out how to place these companies within your pyramid? That's a little thing I invented. And there are a lot of other processes that I'm inventing that you can use as an investor. And that means money will flow your way, because what you're building is really special. Okay, so when we are investing in something, or purchasing something, what is really the purpose of it? And I want to also relate these two words, because when we're buying something, we are also investing in something. So investing, usually I would talk about stocks, and that is really investing. But when we're buying something, which could be a house, that could definitely also be an investment, or it could even be something as low-key as clothes. Are you investing in something? Yes, I would say most of the things that we buy are some kind of investment, because it's an investment in you, it's an investment in your life. Even something like clothes, because you are investing in the person you want to be. When we wear clothes, we are building our personality as well. So if you start thinking about everything you buy as a kind of investment, it will change the process a lot. And it really already is an investment. And that's why I'm linking these two words. Let's bring some other examples. So an online course, that's the product that I have. Is that an investment? Yeah, obviously so, because it is going to change, first of all, your knowledge, the way that you view money and the stock market, but it's also going to change who you are. Because it's changing, it's fiddling with your mind thoughts, your mind, the way you think. So it's going to change you. You're investing into a new version of you. What about, I just mentioned house, so you're buying a house, but what if you're just renting a house? I'm just renting my house. Is that an investment? I would say yes, and I actually think about it that way. The house we're in right now is such a wonderful house. It's really close to the very, very good school that my son goes to. It's also close to the beach. It's such a wonderful area. I really, really like the area. But I am paying a lot for that house in rent. If you're curious, I'll tell you, it's $6,000 a month. Right now, that is, because people stop buying online courses. So right now, that does feel like a lot. It didn't feel like a lot when we moved in. But right now, it's like, eh. And then I started thinking about, what is it really that we are getting? My sons are now turning, this week, my youngest will turn 9, and my oldest will turn 12. And I really thought a lot about this and the house. So he's 12 now. How many years are he interested in hanging around me? So 3 years, when he's 15, he's going to be circling around, doing other stuff. Maybe he wants to go to the Danish version of kind of a boarding high school. You won't even be there. So I'm thinking these next years are such an investment in my family. It's so important that things are working. And that's why I'm thinking of this house as an investment. It's critical years right now. When they're small, they don't really care. We were sleeping in the same bedroom for many, many years in this apartment I had in Copenhagen. It didn't really matter. Their needs were very, very, I wouldn't call them narrow, but I think you know what I mean. Like, they wanted to sit on my lap and read a book about a spider or whatever. I mean, those were the needs. The needs are different now, but they're still close to me. but they are active. We need more space. The 12-year-old might be gaming on whatever game, Fortnite or something, and it's so noisy. And I'm teaching in another room. We really need this space right now. So it's definitely an investment in our happiness and in their education as well. Well, his school is really close by, but also in their education is how do we function as a family and their groundedness for life. It's definitely an investment. Other things that I spend money on, I pay quite a lot of money for, first of all, an interior decorator and an organizer of the house. And the organizer's job is completely different. She will figure out where do the pencils go, where does Bila's makeup go, where do you put the keys every day. And when we first moved in, I had a really hard time. Like, it was a big house. I couldn't find anything. Where's my phone? Where's the keys? And we were fighting a little bit about it. Like, where did you put it? How it is. And then I thought to myself, that is a great investment, not only in the happiness of the family, but in the effectiveness, that was a hard word, effectiveness of everyday life. Because it needs to work. This whole machine needs to work in order for me to be able to work. And work, of course, is what is bringing in the money. And the interior designer, well, actually, it was the organizer who said, well, if you want me to work here, you also need to hire an interior designer. So they work together to figure out how to place everything. And that, in a way, is a bit crazy because the interior designer wanted me to buy this and that. And so it became quite an investment. It did cost a lot of money, and it did give me a feeling of, but I'm not even sure if we're going to stay here more than 1.5 years, because that's how it works with the contract. The contract is 5 years, but I can get out after 1.5 years. So spending so much money inside, like creating the home inside, well, I'm not sure we're going to stay there. But that's when I thought about, well, it's investing in that things are working, and it's investing in that I can be more efficient and get to work quicker as well. Another thing is every day there's a private bus that picks up my other son, the small one, because he goes to a school that's further away. He didn't get a spot at the school that's close by, the very good international school. And that other school is a bit far away. So, and, a private bus will cost money, and it's not that cheap. I don't really like the words cheap and expensive because it messes with your mind. You have to relate it to what do I get out of it? And for me, it was such an easy decision because I was thinking, okay, so if I drove him to school, it would definitely take me an hour. It takes at least half an hour to get there, maybe more, and half an hour to get back. And I would have to go get him again. So that's another hour. That's 2 hours every day. How much money can I make in those 2 hours? And I made the decision so easy. I'm thinking of the time that it's saving me. That's one kind of investment. But you can also just invest in a new version of you, a new version of your family. Another completely no-brainer, and I hope you have that. That's a cleaner. Cleaner, gardener, pool man. I don't do these things myself because, what I focus on is quality time with my kids and investing and building my business with you. Doing this podcast, for example. Okay, so let's say you have an investment, and I have so many of these. And when I say investment, it can be something you purchase. Same. How do you deal with these emotions? Well, first of all, you have to realize that they're there. So if you're acting really fast, you might feel them, but it's gonna be like running across red light and traffic. Like you'll hardly notice if the speed is too high. So you have to slow down, and then you have to notice what's coming up for you. And one exercise that Jody gave me was to write it down on a piece of paper, step 10 feet away, and then walk 1 step towards it. And you can write anything on that piece of paper. This doesn't just work for purchasing or investing. It can also be your income goal. It could be, I want 10 million dollars, blah, 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 in stocks. I want that to be my portfolio. How does that feel? If that feels like, I don't think I can make it, I don't know. Write it down on a piece of paper, step 10 steps away, and then walk towards it slowly. Notice what's coming up, and then feel it. Feel it, and then try to relax in that feeling. And the moment you're like, okay, I got this feeling, take another step closer and try to relax in the next feeling as well. And you continue doing that. It's actually quite hard to do because so much stuff, memories even. And, it can be really distracting feelings like, I gotta check my phone. Like that really comes up for me because you don't want to feel the feelings. Remember that you can do this with other things than money. You can do it with, let's say, you want to experience love, for example. And here comes a little story. So at some point, I met someone whose message to me was, I really, really like you. It makes me really nervous and I'm really worried what's going to happen. Unfortunately, this person disappeared from my life. And I thought to myself, I wish I could tell him about this technique. Like, be in the emotions. Like, just let it be. It's so important to let the emotions, like Jody uses the word, hold yourself. Like, hold the emotions. And the other thing about that particular relationship was there were like boxes we couldn't talk about. I can't talk about that. It's too painful. We can't talk about that. So if you do like that, if you compartmentalize your life, like, whoa, this is so dangerous because the emotions are dangerous, you're going to make it really difficult, not just to experience, let's say in that case, love, but I actually believe it might also disturb your money flow because it's all connected. I know this sounds really crazy, right? But I really realized how connected it is. In my own life right now, I'm struggling with these things as well. And obviously, at the time of speaking, stocks are all over the place. They go down, they go up, down 10%, up 10%. You're like, what? Because of the terror situation. And that triggers me too. I mean, we are all human beings, right? We are all human beings. And it triggered me in a way where, first of all, I can see that stocks are falling. I feel it too. But in my other business, which is teaching you how to invest, people stop wanting to learn how to invest because they're afraid of how the stock market is volatile. And that triggered so much in me that I am making troubles everywhere. This weekend, when I was taking my kid to the market, is something we really love to do, I realized, oh my God, I have no petrol on the car, like none. Like I have like 2 kilometers left. I have to find a station right now. And I was thinking to myself, I cannot believe, I know that I created that situation out of lack attack. It's a great word, lack attack, which means you're afraid that the flow is going to stop. And I'm there right now. And then you create these mini crises about it. Like, why didn't I fill up the car? I mean, I was going to, and then it's just, kids and everything. And of course, we couldn't find a parking. My son ended up being like, can we just go home now? Because it was so difficult to getting to the market. And, I keep creating these little things where there's not enough space, so nothing can come in, or I forgot to fill it up, so we can't go anywhere. Like everything is freezing a little bit. And I know it's connected to the emotions. If I didn't feel a little scared as well about what's going on, I would just have filled up the car. Like it wasn't something I thought about at a conscious level. Like I'm scared that the stocks are going to fall more, so I'm not going to fill up the car. Nothing like that. It's subconscious, all of these little things. Okay. How do you do it if you feel worried? So you're standing there, there's something you really want to invest in or purchase, and you feel scared or whatever. Angry. You can feel angry as well. So how do you actually do it, apart from going really slowly? If you can tap into, there's one really, really magic feeling that it works like one that's like the anti-poison, and that's gratitude. If you can feel gratitude for whatever it is that you're buying, and you can do that even with like common bills, like you're paying for water. Oh, just like stop for a second. How great, isn't it, that you can turn on the tap and water comes out? You can take a warm shower And the day that they cut the water because they're doing some constructions outside, you will really be like, oh my God, I love water so much. And this winter we had a situation with the water heater breaking, and what a mess. The water heater broke down, and it was over Christmas and New Year's, and they couldn't come to the house. And I had to give my children a bath, boiling the water, which took forever. I had several pots boiling, and I had to buy an extra kettle, so 2 kettles and 3-4 pots, and still it was just kind of cold. I appreciate so much that there's warm water, there's electricity, there's whatever. So feeling gratitude for whatever it is you're paying for is the anti-poison. And there's this famous Japanese billionaire who teaches people to say arigato, arigato, which means thank you in Japanese. Arigato my money whenever you pay for something. But that's a nice little way to do it, but we can use our own language and say thank you, thank you, thank you. The other thing is you have to check in, do you really want what you're buying? Because sometimes we do have some patterns where we are buying things that we don't need. You know, the plastic crap, and you might even go to a party or to a travel that you don't really want to do it, but you feel for some reason like you have to, but it doesn't feel nourishing. It takes a little bit of time to figure out, is this fear or is it really true resistance that I don't want to do this thing? And the really key thing here is if you buy this thing, invest in this thing, or do this experience, what is it going to make you? Because that's really why we're here. We're here to grow. I think that's the purpose of our life. That's why we are here. It's to develop, to grow. So who is it making you? Who is it helping you grow into being if you do this thing, purchase this thing, invest in this thing? That's one really important point. Another really important point is, remember, whenever we give money out, especially if you're investing, it will come back. I mean, of course, you have to do the work, right? You have to analyze, you have to use the story. If you remember the story of my mother and my father, you have to use my mother, get into the feelings. Remember that you can always get up and make more money, but you also have to use my father. Be rational about it, make the checklist, you can borrow my checklist, use my checklist, and so on and so on. And calculate, use both, right? The rational part, which was over here, and the emotional part. The emotional part and the rational part. Yes, so remember, money is about investing in you, investing in who you want to become, the version of you want to become. And you have to check in with the emotions, experience them slowly, figure out what's going on, and turn it into some kind of gratitude, which you can only do if it's actually something that makes you grow, or your family grow, increases your happiness, these positive things. This was what I had for you today. If you like the podcast, remember to follow and subscribe and review it on your favorite platform. If you have a question for me, be free to hit me up on LinkedIn or X. My handle is my first name, Beile. Just remember one thing, of course, obviously, none of this is investment advice. It's education and entertainment, and you're responsible for your own decisions. Thank you.